Okay. Well, as you can see, we are, as scientists, either the saviors or the others when it comes to community engagement. Either we're exploiting or we're saving, and then trying to find the balance in between is a challenge that we face as scientists. There's no doubt we are in a changed world. Anyone who thinks it's going back to what it was is probably far, far away. Juliet and I know that the fourth industrial revolution, artificial intelligence, machine learning, augmented and virtual reality is now consuming just about everything we do. And that gap between the technology and the community is one that we really need to be working very hard to bring communities into the space, which is going to control every aspect of our lives. One of the fundamental problems faced in science is the communication of science, so it's understood by everybody. And I'm not just picking individual communities, I'm talking about everybody. It's a language and a way of thinking that can be quite elitist and very selective in how it's conveyed. So we are particularly thrilled this year to have Carolina Oddman, the Associate Director of the Institute for Data Intensive Astronomy, for winning the National Science and Technology Forum Award for Science Communication. And her citation is what really is the crux of what we should be doing as scientists, is for reshaping how science is communicated to the general public, and in particular, research into building a scientific vocabulary in African languages. She's a leader for us and showing us a clear path on what we must be doing. So, obviously, this horrible little thing has destroyed many of our lives and employment and opportunity, especially for disadvantaged communities. So the question is, what has UWC Science done during this time? So last year, in my community engagement report, spoke about our contributions to making new ventilators, new designs, new masks, all of that type of thing, which is innovation, but can have a major impact on the community. So what have we done this year? I think the biggest thing that we've done this year is coming out of the Institute, the South African National Bioinformatics Institute, where they have been working with the African Center for Disease Control and Prevention to assist public health and health labs analyze SARS-CoV-2 data and also set up COVID laboratory protocols. Now that sounds very esoteric and very scientific, but in fact it has a major effect on the communities that need assistance during this pandemic. Within the Department of Medical Biosciences, our researchers have been the first in South Africa last year, but they continue to culture all the variants of COVID that we have. So how important is that to a community? Well, you cannot test people unless you have standards. And so the vast numbers of the community that are being tested rely on the veracity of the standards that we produce through the Department of Medical Biosciences and the University of Stellenbosch working together. So that's a major contribution. The next, our students in pharmacy too are making a significant contribution. Admittedly, this is an old photo of demasked people, but we'll go with that. And I'm particularly impressed as Dean, and my time as Dean has been the Service Learning in Pharmacy program, where we take young students and put them into communities and say, right, in your second year, you're going to screen the communities for people in your communities for tuberculosis and for early onset of coronary heart disease, as a way of engaging people in your training as a pharmacist so that you can explain what you're doing and why you're doing it. And I think that is a very important part of what the School of Pharmacy is doing. So at the second year level, they do that, but they also get involved dealing with mothers and small children, talking about family planning, talking about nutrition, talking about the health of their families and how they can contribute to that. In the third year in the Service Learning and Pharmacy program, which is the acronym SLIP, they go into wider communities. The second years work around the Tygerberg sub-district and then the northern suburbs, and then third year they go everywhere, where they look at the pharmaceutical application of medicine, pharmaceutics. So they talk to communities and explain why you need to take an antibiotic to the very end, why you need to do this and why. And they have to give educational presentations to the various communities. And I think that's an incredibly important part of what pharmacy does, and retaining a very close link, bringing the students directly to the communities. Now, there's a strange thing to appear in a science presentation. There is a problem in Lutzville. Lutzville is one of the biggest wine producing areas in the Western Cape, and they have a number of vineyards. And one of the vineyards has got a real problem. It's situated next to a disadvantaged community, and its effluent is not being treated well enough. So there's some health impact in the community adjoining it. And obviously, we have an environmental impact. So the South African Institute for Advanced Materials Chemistry is not just about hydrogen fuel cells and alternative energy. It's also about water purification. And they have set up some very interesting projects in this community, well, in this vineyard, so the community can benefit using shear separation technologies, which is a totally new way of purifying water, and had great success in a pilot plant, which happened right the way through this last year, and are now looking to expand that to solve a community. You can't close the vineyard down, which is what's going to happen unless they can deal with the water, or else the community then has that loses access to employment and all of those things. So it's important that science comes in with innovation and enables communities to not lose their jobs and certainly not lose their health, but that is some way that we can actually be innovative and solve problems that haven't been solved for decades. As we all know, water is absolutely central to everything. During the great drought, the day zero drought in Cape Town, our water researchers were in huge demand across the Western Cape to look at groundwater stocks to give an evaluation of what's going on. But what's particularly happening in our Institute for Water Studies is our engagement with a whole community spread over 45,000 square kilometers in the Gerrits River catchment area. That's just behind Cape Agulhas, and a very arid area, and they're dealing with all the communities. So these young students will be addressing farmers, they'll be addressing communities, they'll be small holding agriculture, and it's very important that we keep this major footprint in water, which we've developed over the last decade to be one of the leading universities in terms of water research. And we also have a great interest in looking at plants differently. And I'm talking about edible plants, and this is work that's been taken in collaboration with communities in Solo and Eastern Cape, and also in Beaufort West, where we work with the communities and listen to what they're telling our researchers in biotechnology about what the issues are with the plants need, lack of water, how can we assist them. So looking at different ways of looking at the biochemistry, trying to look at what the community is telling us, and then adapting it into our research so that we can then go back to the community and say, well, I think if we try this, we'll have better yields. And so our researchers are doing all of these things in the background. I could spend hours talking about the relevance of many of the research projects, but I don't have that. But these giving you just an overview of what's happening in science. So that's it from me, and to thank Juliet and the DVC and Priscilla Daniels and all others for giving us an opportunity as deans to strut our stuff and to show us that we are engaging in many different ways with the communities around us. Thank you.